That's good John McClain intro music right there. It's good. He's in an unbelievable media career, Houston Chronicle. And then now, GallerySports.com and SportsRadio610.com. And, of course, the man who once upon a time held up Nakatomi Plaza. Ladies and gentlemen, it's John McClain all over the NFL. Hi, John.
Mark, let me tell you where I just was. My job for GallerySports.com is owned by Mattress Mac, our nation's most renowned gambler and furniture salesman. And he told me when he hired me, you go anywhere you want to go. So I just went to Palm City, Florida, a suburb of Palm Beach, for the Mr. October Fund Foundation Celebrity Golf Classic at Jim Crane, the Astro Owners Golf Course 3 and National Golf Club. I spent 3 days with 40 Hall of Famers from baseball and football, interviewing them for videos for our website, GallerySports.com, which does not have a paywall. It's free. Writing columns. You talk about feeling like a kid on Christmas morning. And it's not the pro football guys. I've been on the Hall of Fame committee for 30 years. I know them. But being around all these baseball greats, and it was just an amazing experience. I wish every sports fan could have been there.
I tell you what, sometimes retirement is fun, right, John? That's awesome to hear. John McClain joining us, and all guests are brought to you on the Bud Light guest line. Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Okay, number of things to get to that affect the 49ers and their fans right now, from DeMeco Ryans to Jimmy Garoppolo to Brock Purdy. Let's start with DeMeco. I know you know him well. What did the 49ers lose here?
Well, you lost defensive coordinator, the best assistant coach of the year. They knew it was going to happen. It was just a matter of where he went. He zeroed in on the Texans as they did him. He told me it was his dream job, and he and his wife, Jamila, she's from here. They got married here. They've got a home for wayward kids here. They're building a home here. Now he may have to build a little bigger home. And people here are so fired up. It reminds me of another Niners coach when he was hired here, Gary Kubiak, who had won 2 Super Bowls with Denver, one with the Niners. He was brought home to Houston in 2006. People celebrated in the streets. That's the way it is with DeMeco. Both of them have taken over bad teams. Kubiak took them to the first 2 division titles and playoff victories. Now it's up to DeMeco to help them get back. But I haven't seen many examples where an assistant coach was wanted more by fans and media than DeMeco Ryans was in Houston.
He got a 6-year deal, according to reports. Is that the indication that he's going to get a real chance to kind of build this team up from the ground up in ways that David Culley and Lovie Smith did not?
Yeah, anybody that knows anything about the Texans, and the national people have no clue. They didn't watch them. Why would they? The Texans were terrible under David Culley. David was overmatched as a coach. And then when they elevated Lovie Smith, he had the worst offense in franchise history with Pep Hamilton, who had been the quarterback's coach, who was not a good offensive coordinator, play caller, or use of personnel. And they were worse. Davis Mills showed so much promise from Stanford, and then this year he regressed terribly under Pep Hamilton. Lovey would still be the head coach if he'd had even a mediocre coordinator. So they're paying both of those guys. Now they're paying DeMeco Ryans on a 6-year deal, so they're paying 3 head coaches. The McNair family has no problem paying money. They give the general managers whatever they need. So DeMeco got what Kyle Shanahan got, 6-year contract to come to the 49ers. He got it to come here. And I think it's wise because it shows just another year of commitment. They gave Nick Caserio a 6-year contract to come here from New England, tear it all down to the studs, and start over, and that's what he's done. It's an attractive job because when he got here, they didn't have a 1 or 2, didn't have a 1 the previous year because of Bill O'Brien's trades, and they had a terrible cap problem. Now they had 2 number 1s this year. They got 2 last season. They got 2 this year, 11 draft choices. They got cap money to spend. Next year, 2 number 1s, 10 draft choices. So they're set with a lot of draft capital and a lot of money under the cap to be able to help expedite the rebuilding process that is entering its third year.
But, John, let's talk quarterbacks, because that's the next thing that they're going to want to do, and I wonder your thoughts on how the 49er pipeline now, and maybe even other free agents too. Like, we know Nick Caserio, his history, for instance, with Garoppolo. Last year, you said absolutely no interest at all. Does the fact that DeMeco Ryans is now the head coach maybe open the door, Garoppolo to Houston? What do you think?
If they were to sign Garoppolo, and I don't know why he'd come here because the team's bad, and not draft Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud, fans would burn down NRG Stadium. They don't want a veteran. They want another franchise guy like Deshaun Watson that they can develop and watch grow. And so I just can't imagine Garoppolo would want to come to a bad team and participate in a rebuild instead of go to a team that maybe he's the missing link to help them get to the playoffs, like Tennessee or the Jets. That seems much more appropriate to me.
Will, I saw that the Texans requested to interview Bobby Slowick, the Niners passing game coordinator, to be their OC. Is the expectation that DeMeco is going to poach several coaches from that Niners staff?
Well, he's got requests in for guys from different teams. Slowick's one of them. You know, he was with Kyle in Washington. He's been there every year with Shanahan plus DeMeco. They got there at the same time. Yeah, he has a defensive background because of his daddy, longtime coordinator, and then he switched to offense, so he knows Kyle Shanahan's system inside and out. And last year, it's like they didn't have a system. There was a junior high system. They need something that Kyle, of course, it comes from his dad. He's refined it. Gary Kubiak came here from Mike Shanahan, had that system. It worked very well. Of course, and Davis Mills is going to be on this roster. Davis Mills regressed, and I didn't hold it against him. He showed too much promise in the last 5 games of his first season, and so I think he'll be on the roster as the backup. He will help tutor the young guy. He might even start at the first of the season. That's why I don't see them going after a starter. And as far as poaching from Kyle, the only way he can get them is if they're coordinators. I assume that he's going to name a defensive coordinator, even if DeMeco doesn't call, even if he calls the defenses. We'll find that out tomorrow when they have a news conference at 2-year time at NRG Stadium.
John McClain is with us here on Willard and Dibs. John, let's talk quarterbacks. It's not going to be a surprise to you. We are still in the post-NFC Championship Brock Purdy injury discussion here. And one of the things that has become very fascinating is to try to figure out from people how much they actually believe that what we saw in those 8 games is real. With all the people you talk to in the league, what's the thought? Are people convinced that Brock Purdy is a true starting franchise quarterback?
Well, they shouldn't be, not as a franchise quarterback. There's no way you could play as little as he did in one season and people to know that. He did under the circumstances as well as he could do. He's with a great defense, a great running game, a great head coach who knows how to call plays. They protected him. I talked to a bunch of quarterbacks that kept thinking, okay, he's going to have a really bad game, and he didn't. Or he's going to be way behind and have to come and have to rally the team. Well, he didn't have to do that. And then he got hurt. Then I see some people here, well, they should trade for Trey Lance. There's no way Kyle Shanahan is going to trade Trey Lance because Lance is gifted. He's much more gifted physically than Brock Purdy is, and they gave up so much to get him. You guys are going to have a lot of fun talking about that quarterback competition once those guys get healthy.
One of the big names, we started talking about quarterback competitions yesterday, and Tom Brady's name kept coming up. And, of course, he puts the video out retiring today. Do you think he's done, John?
I think he's done because he's gone to such great lengths to let people know. Plus, he retires and he gets a raise. He goes to Fox for $37 million or maybe $37.5. I'm sure they're going to find a way to use him on the Super Bowl, even if it's just interviewing one or both of the quarterbacks. But I'm eager to see how he's going to do, considering what he's the greatest quarterback in history. You know, they would love to have had a chance at him at some point. And but, you know, Kyle Shanahan loves Trey Lance. That was clear to everybody. and he's going to get a chance. And then hopefully Brock Purdy will come back sooner rather than later. They won't be an entire 6 months, and it'll be great competition in training camp.
John, it's interesting the way you're sort of presenting this, because prior to the injury against the Eagles, the report was, as they moved through the playoffs, the decision had been made that Brock Purdy was going to be the presumptive starter going into next year. The injury complicates that for sure, but are you of the opinion that maybe that's getting ahead of ourselves a little bit?
I think when whoever it was had that report came back and kind of rescinded it and said that he might be number one going in, but they're not going to say, and it'd be stupid, and Kyle Shanahan's not going to do that he would be the starter. If you're Tom Brady, will be the starter. They didn't know that about Purdy. What if Trey Lance tears it up in preseason and off-season programs, and he's everything Kyle Shanahan thought he would be when he came out of North Dakota State? And so that they got some. I feel bad because they had Garoppolo injured. Now Purdy's injured. Trey Lance got injured. I hope for the 49ers' sake, whoever they decide on is able to finally stay healthy.
Amen to that. Everybody agrees with that. In fact, we got a lot of fans out here who blame Kyle Shanahan for these injuries because it keeps happening. And they just think that, there's a common thread.
Of the dumbest things I've ever heard.
Thank you. That's all we need you to say on that, John. Hey, always great to talk to you, my friend. Thank you.
Guys, thank you very much. When I heard Brady was retiring, first thing I thought of, our Hall of Fame meeting will be a lot shorter because all we got to do is say, ladies and gentlemen, Tom Brady, and then we move on the same way we did for Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, Dan Marino, John Elway. And that's the way it will be with Brady. Guys, thank you very much.
John, in that meeting, I need you to raise your hand real quick and go, I think it's kind of a system quarterback. I need some convincing.
Yeah, I'm not going to be the idiot.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
John,
Thanks,
thank
John.
you.